Hello there. I am the real-life fake wizard. March 18th, 2026 served as the inauguration day for Josh D'Amaro as CEO of the Walt Disney Company. He took the microphone at the annual shareholders meeting, and within 30 minutes, he confirmed every fear that critics like myself had about his transition. For every question that we need a leader to give genuine, authentic direction on, Josh gave empty word salad responses. For every throwaway question that had no place being asked during such an important conference, Josh had ridiculously scripted and specific answers prepared. Are we getting new IPs? No. We're getting more IPs inside of already active IPs. We're getting glup shittos. Are we doing updates to the parks like the Pixar Shorts attraction? No. Are we getting an update on Disney's stance on AI usage? It's important right now. No. Are we getting a Figment anything? No. And stop asking. And so, with another stand-in for corporate non-action and stock value that is diminishing, I have to ask myself, if I was in Josh's shoes and I could do something to change the trajectory of this company, what would I do? What would I change? And how would I fix this ridiculously corrupt and broken company? Today's indie game shoutout is A Kobold Story, the trenchcoat adventure. Join 3 hungry kobolds and several trenchcoats in a hand-drawn classical dungeon-crawling adventure to be great heroes, but mostly to find shiny things. To learn more about this and hundreds of other indie games, visit our free indie game discovery network, fakeportal.com, or scan the QR code on your screen. Now back to the video. Okay, as we get into this, I need to establish some preliminary rules. Number 1, this channel was founded on the basis that the Acolyte was so ungodly offensive with the intent of being as offensive as possible to loyal paying fans that I put on a wizard outfit and started making videos. I, by no means, want to help Disney. These are ideas exploring the concept of what would it take to course correct a company that is so far from course correction? It would take a miracle to save them at this point. And rule number 2, even if I have ideas that in theory would work, it would be nearly impossible to implement them because the rot inside this company runs so deep, I couldn't expect them to do anything right or honestly. So with that, number 1, they need to sell ESPN to a tech company. Oh yeah, right out the gate we're being controversial. ESPN was just valued at $30 billion as part of its equity deal with the NFL. Under that deal, ESPN acquired NFL Network and related media assets, and the NFL received a 10% equity stake in ESPN in return. That transaction reset the ownership structure. Disney now holds approximately 72%, Hearst Communications holds roughly 18%, and the NFL holds 10%. The $30 billion valuation represents about 17% of Disney's entire market cap. ESPN is an enormous asset, and at roughly 10 times its annual operating income of $2.9 billion, it is being valued like a traditional media property. A tech company would pay more, like significantly more. ESPN's future is in digital sports betting, live streaming, and data-driven fan engagement. Those are tech sector offerings. Apple, Amazon, and Google are already competing aggressively for live sports rights and building the infrastructure to deliver them at scale. Any one of these companies would pay a massive premium over ESPN's current 10 times multiple because in their hands, where they're duking this all out, ESPN becomes a valuable weapon. At a conservative 20% premium on the current valuation, ESPN's enterprise value rises to $36 billion. Selling something like a 55% controlling interest at that price generates approximately $20 billion in cash proceeds for Disney, meaning Disney would get $20 billion in liquid capital that can be deployed against the parks, content, and streaming expansion. Disney will still have a minority stake. It'll preserve its brand affiliation with ESPN and Disney being combined, right? And they can negotiate content licensing agreements to keep sports programming flowing through Disney+. Now, obviously, I hear you in the comments, there are massive counter arguments to this and complications, and it would take a long time and it would get legal. But if we look at the overall cable bundling and the cable business in general, the cable business model is declining, and it's accelerating in its decline every quarter. It might be better to extract maximum value now while ESPN is sitting at a $30 billion valuation and the sports rights portfolio is at a peak of desirability. It's time to bail on cable, and that means maybe we get the money out of ESPN now before it isn't worth $30 billion. Number 2, and this is my favorite one on this list, Project Ducktales. Disney has a lot of problems. Obviously, some of them include the rising costs of conventional content production, but also the inability to connect with audiences anymore. It costs more to create anything now because Disney and companies like Disney have allowed the entire entertainment business system to become bloated and wasteful, yet they can't produce anything that's worth anything. In 2023, Disney produced 7 major box office flops. 2024 saw a Disney Plus show that did irreparable damage to a brand Disney previously paid $4 billion to acquire. 2025 was a mixed bag where all of the MCU films flopped. They may own the world's most recognizable IPs, but that's just not enough anymore. Disney needs new intellectual properties and new ideas to attract new audiences, but also win back all the customers they lost. As I'm saying this, I know it's impossible. However, I propose a strategy called, and I think this is a good idea, Project Ducktales, strictly because of the theme song, Tales of Daring, Do Bad, and Good Luck Tales. The plan here is that Disney creates a standalone production label with its own president, its own development team, and its own green light authority. This label operates independently from Walt Disney Studios, Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm, and it has a single mandate: fund original films from independent filmmakers and deliver them exclusively on Disney+. Project Ducktales would be a dedicated independent film label that funds 10 to 15 original films per year at budgets between $10 million and $40 million, if not less. I think you literally give an award per year to the creator who delivered a reputable project at the lowest budget. At the budget level of 10 to 40 million, a film doesn't need to gross $500+ million to be considered a success. It only needs to be good. It needs to attract and retain Disney Plus subscribers, and it needs to generate cultural conversation. That would be the point of these films now. A $30 million film that gets 40 million households to watch in the first week is a home run on a streaming platform like Disney Plus, even though that same film might be considered a failure in a theatrical release window. Now, our filmmaker selection process will borrow from what A24, Neon, and Searchlight already do. Ducktales would accept pitches, attend film festivals, scout emerging directors and writers, but forget all that. Moreover, we are going to open the floodgates. We are about to have creators that are high schoolers on laptops making movies with AI, okay? Within 10 years from today, those movies might look indistinguishable from what is on the silver screen now. They might look better. Have you been to the movies lately? Those movies look terrible. This is not an endorsement of AI. This is just the trajectory we're on. Disney needs to go to the audience now to attract new creators with new ideas. Abandon Hollywood and the model you have now because Hollywood doesn't have it anymore. It makes more sense for Disney to start this investment process now, fund the market for new creators before all of these new creators become their direct competition in even 5 years. The label provides financing, production, support, and distribution through Disney Plus. That's got to be part of it. This all goes to Disney Plus. And the filmmaker provides the vision. If the film works, Disney owns the IP and can extend it into sequels, series, merch, and theme park experiences, and the whole broader Disney ecosystem. And if it doesn't work, as I'm sure many of them won't, Disney is out $20 to $40 million instead of $270 million, which was the production budget of Snow White. The total annual investment for Project Ducktales would be between $200 million and $600 million, depending on the number of films and their budgets. For context, Disney spent over $200 million on Captain America: Brave New World alone and lost money. Disney spent $212 million on Secret Invasion, a Disney Plus series that was universally panned and hardly watched by anyone. For the cost of 2 or 3 franchise misfires, DuckTales produces an entire year's worth of original content. Again, I hear you in the comments. There are lots of stipulations here and legal and who owns what, but this is the first and only chance Disney would have of slowing the AI takeover that is on the horizon of very serious competition. Number 3, regionalize content production. Disney Plus is available in over 150 countries around the world. The content library, however, is overwhelmingly Western and largely rejected by the West. This mismatch is costing Disney subscribers cultural relevance in the world and billions of dollars in untapped revenue. When Disney releases a Marvel film or a Pixar sequel, it markets that film globally as a single product. Sometimes that works, like with Inside Out 2 or Zootopia 2, but a huge portion of Disney's output simply does not resonate inside or outside of North America and Western Europe. Star Wars has minimal cultural footprint in most of Asia. The MCU's recent theatrical underperformance has been driven in large part by collapsing international numbers. Snow White made only $87 million outside the US. Total. Disney's live-action remakes trend heavily domestic. Meanwhile, a Chinese animated film called Ne Zha 2 grossed $1.86 billion in 2025, almost entirely within China. A Korean drama, Squid Game, little-known show, became the most-watched Netflix series in history. A Spanish series called Money Heist became a global phenomenon. These are local stories made by local creatives and local audiences that crossed over globally because they had one thing worldwide audiences are craving and the West can't seem to create it. It's called authenticity. Number 4, bring back the Disney afternoon model. From 1990 to 1997, Disney operated a 2-hour weekday afternoon animation block called The Disney Afternoon. It produced DuckTales, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Goof Troop, and Gargoyles. These shows created new franchises and characters that sold merchandise and built generational loyalty that persists to this day. The model was simple and it worked. Create original animated content for kids. Build audience attachment. Then scale the successful IP across the Disney ecosystem into merch, theme parks, and eventually films. Disney abandoned this pipeline entirely. There is no equivalent program producing original animated IP for kids through television today. The Disney Channel's been gutted. It's an embarrassment from what it was. The animation output is focused almost entirely now on theatrical features and their sequels. I think Disney should, and if they were an honest and good company, should launch a dedicated animated content block on Disney Plus. It sounds like I'm advocating for Disney Plus here. The idea is to I hear you in the comments. I'm not advocating for Disney Plus. It's a role play on how to save this company. Anyway, Disney should launch a dedicated animated content block on Disney Plus. Commission original animated series aimed at kids ages 6 through 14. I'm not even saying to reboot the old shows. Maybe you can. I don't trust them too personally. But yeah, you need to resuscitate the Disney afternoon TV. What do they have now? Bluey? That's not even fully theirs. I also think original Disney anime programming can be worked into this to some capacity as well. Disney may not have a clue on how to handle Star Wars, but Star Wars Visions was extremely satisfying in isolation. Perhaps giving these studios the sandbox to create something new under Disney Plus distribution could make a dent. Number 5, build an in-house gaming studio. Disney owns what they say is the most valuable IP library in entertainment history. Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, classic Disney animation, Avatar, Indiana Jones, the theme parks, that's pretty big, and Disney has zero ability to make its own video games. Disney Interactive accumulated $1.41 billion in losses between 2008 and 2013. Disney Infinity, launched in 2013, became the #1 franchise in the Toys to Life category, and then Disney killed it in 2016 anyway. Bob Iger decided that the risk wasn't worth it, but through the years, he's also proven he never understood video games to begin with. Well, Bob Iger's gone. Josh D'Amaro's in now. Maybe there's a better chance. Disney, under Bob Iger, killed about 8 different video game studios because of mismanagement or not having a clear pathway to success, including Disney Interactive, LucasArts, and Junction Point, the studio that made the epic Mickey games. Bob Iger's quote from an earnings call was, "We're just better off at managing the risk by licensing." Oh yeah, and that licensing approach hasn't exactly been a triumph either, Bob. Square Enix's Marvel's Avengers, Star Wars Outlaws, Star Wars Battlefront 2 alone was enough to rethink this. Now, Disney has child gambling forever attached to Star Wars because of how EA handled Battlefront 2. Disney's biggest current gaming bet is $1.5 billion invested into Epic Games, which is building some kind of persistent Disney universe inside of Fortnite. Here's the problem with Disney and gaming. Their entire gaming future is built on renting space in someone else's platform or licensing out their IPs to companies that cannot handle them. Epic Games owns Fortnite. Epic Games owns that infrastructure, which means Epic Games sets the rules. Disney is a tenant to the tune of $1.5 billion. Do you know what company proved that the owning your own studio model could work? Nintendo. They proved it with the Super Nintendo World, that owning both the IP and the interactive experience is a model that works. Guys, Disney is so terrible that I'm advocating for a Nintendo model. And I hate the Nintendo models, but Nintendo makes its own games, controls its own platforms, and leverages that into theme park attractions that drive people back into the games. The loop is closed. Disney's loop is wide open. The recommendation here is to either acquire or build a first-party game studio. Not some massive AAA operation overnight. You need a focused team capable of producing 2 to 3 high-quality titles per year across mobile, console, and PC. Start with smaller scope games that leverage Disney's deep IP catalog, like, I don't know, do an Incredibles action game with the upcoming Incredibles 3, or perhaps a narrative adventure set in the world of Atlantis. You know, go unique. Give us Janitor Simulator Disney World Shanghai. There's more money to be made here in actually competing in the video game market and building your own games now. Licensing doesn't work when the companies you license to diminish your brand with something like Star Wars Outlaws. Number 6. Reverse the park's pricing philosophy. The middle class built Disney. Over the last decade, Disney has abandoned them. The prices are astronomical. Disney has made the decision that the middle class is no longer the target market with their pricing. They have made it so only the local Floridians or local Californians can go to the parks. The upper class elites, where money is no object, can vacation there, and then they're also appealing to a third demographic that specifically does bargain hunting. So if you want to take your kids to Disney, you need to turn into a coupon cutter. And even if you pull this off, the experience you're getting is far from what it used to be 6 and 7 years ago. Here is what has been stripped away from Walt Disney World guests since 2020. Fast Pass Plus was eliminated and replaced with a paid Lightning Lane service. Disney's Magical Express, the free airport-to-resort transportation, was canceled in 2022. Free Magic Bands for resort guests were eliminated in early 2021. Extra Magic Hours in the park were replaced with extended evening hours available only to deluxe resort guests. Those are 400 plus per night hotels. And free dining plan bounce back offers were killed during COVID and have never returned. Hey Disney, Universal just opened Epic Universe. What are you doing about it? Disney's domestic parks are facing the most competitive pressure they've experienced in decades. You do not win a competitive fight by being the expensive nickel and diming option, while the competition offers a newer, fresher product while also not offering anything new and worthwhile. Disney, you're not doing anything new worthwhile to charge all that money. Under the fake wizard's advisement, we are freezing ticket prices for 2 years minimum, restore a version of the free Fast Pass system for all guests, and eliminating the Premier Pass entirely, and we're going to bring back Magical Express. Disney needs to win back customers, and even with all the things I just named, I don't think any of it will. You might be out there saying, Wizard, you didn't touch Lucasfilm, you didn't touch Pixar, you didn't talk about the MCU, you really didn't have much to say about the parks, just the pricing point, and you'd be right. In the past, I might have tried to save Lucasfilm and Marvel, but now, a lot has changed since I posted that last video. I'm a fake wizard, guys, but I would never claim to be Jesus. Oh, well, if we invested $2 billion into the parks, we might be able to do X. Actually, no. You can invest $10, $20 billion, but these brands are so damaged, I can't conceive of any way that investing in the parks is going to attract more people on principle of there being new things. Oh boy, what is that we're building? A Tweedledee ride that clips your toenails in the second act? Like, I don't know what to do there now, especially up against Epic Universe. Every major brand is toast, and the reverence for the classic animated properties is also gone because people don't perceive the brand the same way as they used to. However, there is one thing in corporate America that no one ever does. Everything we have said so far is strategic, structural, and financial. If Disney executed even one of these moves, the company could be in a stronger position within 10 years? Like, maybe. Probably not. But they are interesting ideas to think about, and that's the whole idea. Can we role play through fixing this company? But there is one thing that would matter than any single initiative on this list, and it is the one thing that nobody in corporate America ever does. Public acknowledgement that something went wrong. Josh D'Amaro needs to stand up at the next earnings call on a live stream on video. We could see his face and plainly say, we oversaturated our franchises. We priced out our core audience at the parks. We prioritized subscriber counts over content quality. We pandered to ideologies and talked down to our customers. We chased quantity when we should have been protecting quality. We made mistakes, but we are going to correct them. Bob Iger never did this. He blamed Bob Chapek all the way through his exit sizzle reel video. He spoke in corporate euphemisms about reducing output and focusing on quality without ever admitting that the strategy he initiated was extremely flawed. His farewell at the March 2026 shareholders meeting was telling. Quote, "When I returned in 2022, people had lost their confidence in the company they worked for." Buddy, that was you. Those were your decisions that put the company on the trajectory it was on. But then, okay, Bob took no ownership of who caused that loss of confidence or why. His own book, The Ride of a Lifetime, argues that great leaders must take responsibility, yet he never practiced it. D'Amaro's opening statement was more of the same. Quote, "We've accomplished all of those things, and we're operating from a place of strength." Josh, the stock is half its 2021 peak. 6 theatrical releases flopped in 2025. The MCU is in creative freefall. Star Wars hasn't had a theatrical film in nearly 7 years. It was supposed to get one every other year. Guests are flooding every Disney forum and fan site with complaints about being nickel and dimed out of perks that used to be free. Operating from a place of strength, huh? Well, that requires a generous definition of the word strength. Customers and investors are, well, the investors might be stupid, but customers are not stupid. They know what's gone wrong. They know what's happened. If you were to acknowledge it directly, the way Iger's own book said leaders should, it would do more to rebuild trust than any single strategic initiative that I could possibly come up with. You need to say it, and you bastards need to mean it. Josh tomorrow has an opportunity that Bob Iger never took. He can stand up, tell the truth, and start this company on a new, healthy, exciting path. But he won't. His first shareholders meeting was scary in how he invented a new form of robotic, artificial corporate word salad where he can speak for 5 minutes and say absolutely nothing. That is a great question. I'm going to speak in circles around the question and use buzzwords like storytelling and creativity, and then say, please give me another question when I'm done speaking and not answering your question. The original idea for this video was that I wanted to roleplay through 10 possible ideas to save Disney. You know, can I come up with 10 good ones? And then it was 9, and then it was 8, and now it's barely 6, and one of those is to bring back afternoon cartoons, because even with all the technology and research and my experience and my knowledge about this company, the truth is there is no bringing it back until Disney can look its fans in the face and say it's genuinely sorry, which will never happen. So I hope, in their hubris and inhumanity, they burn every dollar for it. I hope this company collapses. Until next time, create, innovate, inspire others to do so as well, and for the love of God, cancel Disney Plus.